The dusty wind swept through the plains, carrying whispers of loneliness across the barren land. Beneath the burning sun, a woman stood beside her wagon, her hands trembling, her eyes heavy with years of rejection. Her name was Clara Mae, and she had come west chasing a dream that wasn't hers. A dream of belonging. But the words she carried inside her heart were sharper than any thorn on the prairie. "No one loves a fat girl, sir," she whispered under her breath. "But I can cook." What happened next, the way a quiet rancher responded, would change not just her life, but the heart of an entire town. Hey there, friend. Before we begin this touching story of love, courage, and kindness, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Whispers of Goodness. We share stories that warm the soul and remind us that kindness still exists in this world. Don't forget to like, comment, and tell us your favorite part of today's story. Now, let's journey back to the old American West. Clara Mae was 31 when she arrived at the edge of Dust Hollow, a small frontier town in Texas. She'd left Missouri behind, along with the smirks, the whispers, and the cruel laughter of people who never saw past her size. She had always been the big girl, the one boys made jokes about behind barn doors, the one women pitied but never invited for tea. But Clara had something that no gossip could take away, a gentle heart and hands that turned flour and butter into love. She came to Dust Hollow to start anew, answering an ad that read to rancher seeking homemaker for partnership. Fair wages, fair heart preferred. The rancher's name was Ely Thompson. When Clara first saw him, he stood tall and silent by the corral, hat pulled low, his hands resting on the gate as a dozen horses ran circles in the dust. His face was weathered but kind, like a man who'd known both pain and patience. Ely turned to her, eyes narrowing slightly. "You're here about the posting?" Clara nodded, twisting her apron strings. "Yes, sir. I can cook, clean, tend animals. I work hard." There was a pause. The horses neighed in the distance. Ely studied her quietly, her worn boots, her hands calloused but soft, her face flushed with nerves. Finally, Clara lowered her gaze and whispered, "No one loves a fat girl, sir, but I can cook." Ely blinked, his brows furrowing as if her words had punched through something deep. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, in his quiet drawl, he replied to her, "Miss, I didn't put out an ad for someone to love me. I put it out for someone to stand beside me. You cook, I'll handle the ranching. Let's see how we do." Clara looked up, tears stinging her eyes, not because of romance, but because for the first time in a long while, someone had answered her without cruelty. That evening, she cooked her first meal on the Thompson ranch. Biscuits that flaked like clouds, stew rich with herbs, an apple pie that filled the air with hope. Ely sat at the table, silent, taking one bite then another. He didn't speak until the last spoonful was gone. Then he leaned back, a rare smile touching his lips. "Chore, Miss Clara," he said, "you make food taste like it remembers something good." That night, Clara wept quietly in her room, not from sadness, but from the strange warmth of being seen. Weeks passed. Clara and Ely worked side by side. She rose before dawn, humming while she kneaded bread. He rode out to mend fences and returned at dusk, covered in dust but grateful for the glow from the kitchen window. The neighbors began to whisper, not cruelly this time, but curiously, "That woman at Thompson's place sure has changed the look of things." They'd say, "You can almost smell kindness in the air." Ely's ranch began to flourish. The men who worked for him stayed longer, smiled more. There was always a hot meal waiting, a kind word from Clara, and laughter around the fire at night. But one evening, as the sun dipped low, Clara overheard a conversation outside the barn. A young ranch hand laughed, saying, "Boss sure settled for comfort over beauty." Clara froze. The old sting of shame returned, sharp as ever. Later that night, she packed her few belongings, tears soaking her pillow. She'd been foolish to think kindness could outweigh appearances. She left a note on the kitchen table. "Chore, thank you for your kindness, Mr. Thompson. The ranch will do fine without me." At dawn, Ely found the note. His chest tightened. Without a second thought, he saddled his horse and rode toward the rising sun. He found her miles down the road, struggling to pull her wagon through the mud. Her dress was torn, her eyes swollen from crying. Ely dismounted, mud splashing around his boots. "Are you leaving because of fool's words?" he asked gently. Clara turned away, voice trembling. "They were right. You deserve better, Ely. Someone beautiful, someone who fits beside you." He took a slow step forward. Clara Mae, you think beauty feeds a man after a long day. You think laughter comes from a face, not a heart. She looked up at him, confused. He took off his hat, his voice low but steady. True, you told me once no one loves a fat girl. But you were wrong. You feed people's souls, Clara. You make this place alive. I don't need someone to fit beside me. I need someone who stays beside me. For the first time, she saw tears in his eyes. Eli reached into his pocket and pulled out a small silver locket worn with age. This was my Maz, he said. I've been saving it for the woman who makes this ranch a home. Will you stay? The Clara covered her mouth, shaking. Ali? He smiled softly. I don't care what they call you. To me, your kindness made flesh. And right there in the middle of that dusty road, the rancher took her trembling hand and led her home. Months turned into seasons. The ranch thrived under their care. Travelers stopped by just to taste Clara's cooking, biscuits that melted like kindness itself. The town, once rough and bitter, began to change. People started sharing meals, lending hands, speaking gentler words. They said the Thompson Ranch had a magic about it, but it wasn't magic, it was kindness. And though the years would bring droughts, storms, and hardship, Clara and Ely stood side by side through it all. One evening, years later, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Clara whispered, "You saved me that day, Ely." He smiled, shaking his head. "No, Clara Mae, you saved us all. You taught a whole town that kindness makes people beautiful, not the other way around. In a world quick to judge by size, skin, or scars, Clara Mae's story reminds us that love and kindness see deeper. They see what's real, the soul, the effort, the heart that refuses to stop giving. So, if you ever feel unseen, remember your kindness might be the light someone else has been searching for. And if you ever doubt your worth, think of Clara Mae, the woman who believed no one could love her until someone saw the goodness she'd carried all along. Because sometimes, all it takes is one person's kindness to rewrite someone's story forever. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Whispers of Goodness. Let's keep spreading stories that remind us love doesn't judge and kindness never fades. Until next time, may your heart stay gentle and your hands always ready to help.